Hey everyone, welcome to part 3. This is
Just
so much
fuck.
fun.
Damn it.
So in this episode of this podcast, we'll be talking about Banlist predictions. This should be fun. That sounds familiar. So windups are the only deck I think that are going to get hit. How are they going to get hit? This is a huge point of contention because I hear something different. Every windup player I ask tells me something different about what should get hit and how the deck should get hit. Everyone kind of agrees that it should or will, but how should it? Mason, how should it get hit, do you think?
People keep saying factory to one, but what is that really going to do? I mean,
They're only saying that because of the Black Whirlwind sort of parallel.
Black Whirlwind made Black Wings. Factory doesn't make windups. Like,
Not at all, but it constantly gives us another out.
yeah,
I can sit there,
just the one would be good to me.
play through a few like small combos, and not worry about it because every turn I can just go rabbit, grab rat, make Zen mains.
So do you think then, Tim, that like the factory is something that should get hit?
Factory wasn't big last format. It was at the end, but it didn't need to be because it was already super consistent in what it needed to accomplish. But this format, we're actually seeing like it makes windups like above consistent.
So I mean, like, I think Mason, you said what, magician to 1?
I think it's all that should happen.
What are you? I mean, like, Tim, Justin, magician to 1. What do you guys think?
That depends on what happens to the rest of the top decks. Like, yeah, magician can go to 1, but I mean, it's like having factory go to 1, leaving magician at 3. Like they'll both be unchecked.
Oh yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there. Just because, you know, if magician's still at 3, it's like, did it really like help when kind of magician becomes still just, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, Justin. Like, what do you think of magician going to 1?
Magician going to 1 would severely limit the power of the deck because a lot of the big power plays that players are doing right now, or at least a lot of the deck does rely on Magician. The Magician Shark combo relies on having multiple Magicians, although you can do other things without it. The power plays with Magician and Rabbit are obviously better when you have multiple Magicians as as extra resources in the deck. So what do I expect Konami would do? I would actually expect them to put both Factory and Magician to 1, even though Magician to 1 would probably be enough to severely limit the deck itself.
What are you guys' thoughts on wind-up Shark being hit? This is something that I feel
doesn't need to happen.
A lot of whiny players.
Shark, if you just hit Shark, I don't think it'd be enough. I mean, like there's no reason to hit Shark. It's like,
yeah, I always felt like Shark isn't. It's just a supplement card.
Shark just tutors Magician.
Like, I mean, it's sort of an enabler, but I mean,
We'll just play different monsters. It's not. We'll play.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll pretty much just switch out any sharks that we get with snowman eaters. I mean, to be truthful here, it's just another 3 or a 5.
And if there are still multiple magicians, we can always just friggin' throw Warrior in there.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that's probably what could happen too. Now, will Mermails escape this ban list? I'm pretty sure they will. I'm
thinking they will, but I would like Dragoons to go to 1, but I don't think they will.
Tim, Justin, do you guys think that they need to be hit, or there's any hope for that happening?
I'm not sure what needs to be hit. Like, each part is consistent with the other parts. It's like the opposite of Dark World in that each card works by itself, but in Mermail, every card works together nearly seamlessly.
So I mean, like,
and they can also function on their own.
So yeah. If like they were to hit Mermails, Mason, you said Dragoons, so I'm assuming like Dragoons to 1 or something like that.
I wanted to touch Undine, but that card's. They need that card.
Yeah, I feel like if Konami hit the deck, that Undine might be where they kind of target because Undine is so like It's just such a great opening.
Well, and then the question begs: can the deck function without Undine?
Can it? I'm not really sure. I mean, I've
It's
s-
Rhoda.
I've
It's
seen it
Red.
done.
It's
Yeah, I've seen it done, but like it's like you said, like Undine can effectively like function as like a smashing. It can function as like a Rhoda. Like it just functions as multiple cards. And like when you don't open Undine, what do you usually open with in Mermails? I mean, what play?
there's
Set
always
up.
this diva plays, but I mean that's up to the player because the deck has
There's always Mermail Abyss Spike.
That's true.
So
And
you
then
can
there's
summon
a set of Abyssland.
Do you
set of Bisslands, Abyss Spike.
do you
that's
think maybe we might see something like more Abyss Spikes or something if like Undine went to 1 or something?
If Indy went to 1, I would see max Abyss Spike.
And then like what do you guys think of Megalo? Do you think he's not important? Or do you think that
Megalo is basically their boss monster. It really is unlikely that they're going to hit it.
If you look at how Konami does things, they never hit the power of a deck. It's like they hit the consistency of a deck. Like look at Agents, how they did them at first. They could have hit Venus, they could have, but they hit Earth. They hit the consistency. Look at Samurai. They could have hit like everything. They could have hit Gateway, but they put Gateway to 1 at first. They let them have that, and
they basically took the smoke signals.
Smoke signal, and like smoke signal was a big part of that.
Right.
I would see that as them like taking out what the problem is, like what breaks the game.
Now, a deck that's kind of up for contention in the ban list is Dino Rabbit. Some people say that Konami won't hit it. Other people say that they should hit it. Some people say they should, but they won't. Things like that. I think.
Yeah, they keep releasing new normals for Rabbit to summon. It seems like they've fallen in love with the damn card.
See, what I think they'll do is like, I think that because Rabbit is still like good for upcoming things like Evil Swarms, something that I could see them doing is simply putting Lagia to 1.
That
But then you're hurting a deck
Wait,
that
Mike.
Lagia was initially meant for.
Well, yes, but it's also a deck that's been around a fair while.
Like you're hurting Evols, and that's what they were meant for in the first place. Even though Konami did some underhanded shit, but
Well, yeah, but I mean, let's remember, Emergency Teleport was supposed to just be a psychic support card.
and it defined the format.
And, it's kind of like Mind Master was supposed to be kind of a psychic support, but then we got a little loop, and then, it's kind of sad, but it's just like, sorry, Evols, but your boss basically, even though you didn't use it, your boss defined, like, the game, and so it's like, you're kind of just wrong place, wrong time.
I personally think they won't hit him at all.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. At least not anytime soon. In a few formats, yeah, maybe I can see Rabbit disappearing, but at least for this next list, it's not going to happen.
I think they might Tengu Gueba if they do anything.
Yeah, that's another thing
They
that people
might Tengu
say.
Oh,
Gueba,
God.
but then it's still not enough. Because
Do you-
Gueba is not Tengu. Gueba can grab Velo. They'll just run Velo.
Yeah, so do you guys think... What were you saying, Tim?
These last few formats, the ban lists themselves, have kind of like shown Konami's view on the game, and I think we're seeing an evolution in Konami's like R&D department in the ban list, and that they're finally like seeing what the real problem, like what they really need to hit. I think this next one will be a defining one because we've had the shit format, we've had this okay format, but I think this one is going to define like the next few formats.
That's an interesting way to think about it. So with that being said, let's look at, because of you're saying this will probably define like multiple formats to come. Let's talk about some of the miscellaneous ban list picks. Like, I mean, the cards that aren't really part of a deck. I say we start with some people who kind of want Thunder King to get some sort of a hit, or predict that it will. Who, Tim, I know you talked about this. What do you think?
It's not that it is powerful. It's powerful later, if that makes sense. when it was made as practically anti-meta. But as the game has progressed, it shuts down. I mean, protected Thunder King shuts down the 3 of 3 top decks.
Yeah, Mason, Justin, do you guys like agree with Thunder King needing a hit?
No,
I don't think Thunder
not
King
now.
should.
Not yet.
I mean, not yet.
I'm kind of with Tim on this one in that like it's not so much that I mean maybe we're a bit different viewed, but I don't really find Thunder King like so much to be like broken or anything. But it's been around so long, and it's good that we have a check on things. But sometimes the check almost becomes the threat itself, and it's just like no matter how fast or crazy or broken Yu-Gi-Oh becomes, like Chris said the other day, like no matter how fast or crazy Yu-Gi-Oh gets, you can always go first, summon a TK set 2, and win off of it sometimes. It's really simple. Like, even when the decks get, like, fast and have a lot of plays, sometimes a simple Thunder King can, like, run a format or win you random games that, honestly, the rest of your hand shouldn't have been able to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, like, kind of my view on it. And, like, things like Thunder King, set MST with a Veiler in your hand, things like that can be, like, just really frightening. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing it go to 1. Like, it just gets put in everything, and it's like, is it the anti-meta, or is it kind of the underlying meta? I mean,
So
Yeah.
what you want
It
to
would
call
be
it?
interesting,
The
but I
Book
don't.
of Moon Monster.
yeah, the Book of Moon Monster. It's kind of almost like that. Like, I mean, I don't know if that's a great analogy, but in terms of like what it's become, I think it sort of is. Justin, what were you saying?
It would definitely be interesting to see Thunder King at different positions on the list. Like the Thunder King to 1 would change a lot, and I'd like to see a format like that, but I don't expect it to happen. In fact, I don't even know what I really expect to
I don't
happen
think
with this
we
ban
should
list.
choose this ban list on expectations, but more on like what needs and what doesn't need to happen. Because we can never understand the exact expectations.
I don't know. It's kind of Konami can be tough to predict. Another card, I don't personally think this will get hit, but a lot of people are saying maybe it should. I don't see it. Is Macro Cosmos? I don't think it'll get hit though because none of the stuff that's coming out, it really like shuts down anyways. So like, I mean, does it? Does anyone think that maybe it should?
It shuts down Harpies.
It's a card that I will call kind of like the next. We went through our special summon phase where the game like took off in speed, and now we're getting to like the super consistent phase of Yu-Gi-Oh, where every deck isn't like a draw match where you just draw and play like your opponent. It is you draw and you practically search your deck for any card you want. And we're getting more onto graveyard control, where our graveyard matters a lot. And if we're getting these bigger monsters, and it's just like what Royal Oppression did, it will shut down the game at some point.
I sort of see. I sort of see what you're saying there. Like, I mean, in that way, I don't think that it needs to get hit. Like, I mean,
It doesn't need to get hit yet, but it's one of those cards that needs to be watched.
now what about like Ultimate Offering? Does this need to get banned? Because I've seen some nasty things that are in the future.
Ultimate Offering it's a OTK enabler. I mean, I would treat it just like Mass Driver.
Yeah, I think it just needs to just like stop the problem before that happens because that's not even top tier. A lot of that stuff's just purely like OTK like type material, not even like fair. I mean, so in that way, I just think that that'd be an easy pick for Konami, just like ban that. Is there anything else that just needs to get like outright banned right now? I don't think so.
Not outright banned, I don't think.
Monster Reborn.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about some of these power spells. I don't feel like Dark Hole's really bad, and I don't feel like it'd be interesting to see Heavy Gone, see how people fare actually having to use 1-for-1 removal. Maybe see some more Night Beam, some more Dust. I don't like Reborn, and I think it should go. But what are you guys' thoughts on Reborn? And then we'll get to Heavy.
I think it wins games that it shouldn't win. The fact that I can play throughout all my cards, force my opponent into a lot of like stupid situations.
Oh god.
Cards are being wasted, and then be able to just drop one spell card for free, and then put a 24, 25 attack monster on the board that will command the game. Because we waste a lot of our resources.
Mason, like where do you see like with Reborn? I mean, do you think it needs the ban or?
I haven't really thought about Monster Reborn that much, but I think we've had it a long time. We've had it for a little while. I think it's time to rotate out. I mean, it supplements plays. Yeah, like Tim said, it wins games when you shouldn't have won. I would be okay with it leaving.
Justin, how about you? I don't know. He said he's getting a bit of lag. Like, I mean, I sometimes feel uh, like we just need a rotation in power spells in general. Even if none of them are necessarily broken, it's sometimes nice just to see them rotate, kind of for the sake of.
Just to rotate heavy in and out.
Yeah, like, and I feel like I wouldn't mind seeing heavy get rotated out. Because I don't know, like I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it rotated out. Like it's not like it's breaking the game right now or anything, but if it could help Night Beam become like kind of more part of the game and make people really think about their MSTs. I mean, we still have three. If we kept three MSTs and we still had Night Beam and Dust and we just lost Heavy, like how bad could it be, you know?
Personally, I'd rather see MST to 1 than Heavy gone, as the game is right now.
Yeah, that's something I've heard. Like, what do you guys think of just MST to 1 with Heavy still here?
MST keeps anti-meta in check right now.
Yeah, like if you don't have MST, anti-meta is just gonna run you over.
There's too many trap cards or spell cards that just kind of like lock down one small asset.
They've let 2 Mirror Force into the game. They've let 2 Torrential into the game. Like people
Right.
Deep Prison, Compulse. All those are at 3. I mean, I don't know.
So in that way, yeah, MST probably should stay. So, I mean, and then also, Book of Moon. This is a controversial one.
That was my favorite spell card of all time. I don't care what any other spell card. Oh my god.
I think anybody who's played this game for any amount of time when it was at 3 could agree to that.
If it was at 3, I'd play 3. If it was at 2, I'd play 2.
Yeah, do you guys think that MST or not MST, excuse me, Book of Moon could come back?
I think it could.
I think this format isn't the format it needs to come back. I think there's more questions we need to ask and more scenarios, and like decks need to evolve a little bit more, and then we can reassess Book of Moon coming back into the game.
But when you consider what's to come, like when you consider that Harpies and things like that are like on the way, I think it kind of becomes a big deal that we get like that if we're going to get it, we kind of get it sooner rather than later, simply because
Book of Moon should have came back last list because it would have caused a lot. It'd have been good. Like Book would have acted as a Veiler. It would
2 books this format. It would be a different format.
Yeah, I think no. Should it come to 2 or should it come to 3? That's a big question. What do you guys think?
A big jump. 2 would be all right.
I think 2 would be a nice testing ground. What do you guys?
We can't just put it to 3 because it is the most skillful spell card ever in the game, but it's also a card that needs to be kept in check.
Like it would make certain decks good again.
Justin, how about you?
Yeah.
I mean, like, go ahead.
Like, what more is there really to say about it? I mean,
I feel like it's like Book of Moon is unsafe in a format where like I feel like in Dino Rabbit's prime, it would have been kind of scary to have like 3 books because then it'd be like Lagia with books behind it, and that's like really scary to me. I mean, I don't like the idea of a deck that can kind of just go first, and summon any somewhat controlling monster and have book behind it.
That was the point I was trying to make. Is
Yeah,
that the game needs to evolve more before we can assess the question of Book of Moon coming back in. Because if you put can Lightning Plover go activate on both turns?
no, only on
Only
his
on yours.
theirs.
I mean,
Luckily,
when we get a card like that, and we can set 2 Book of Moon, or I mean, not set 2 Book of Moon, but like just having 2 Book of Moon in the game, we have a control that isn't control. It's like having oppression. Your opponent can't do anything.
yeah. And speaking of oppression, where should this card go, or should it just sit there on the ban list?
Let's
I said it should go to 1 as long as we keep the 3 MST. If MST drops, it has to go again.
But
I
it,
don't
wa-
like it. If it were to come back, I would like it at 2 because at 1, it's a splashable card in every deck. At 2,
at 2 it
Maybe
more
meta-
yeah, at 2 it's more defined, and like anti-meta and things like will be more
Gadgets-
like in
Gadgets
use.
and Blackwings would run with it.
I straight up don't want oppression back in the game at all.
Why do you say
I
that?
just I'm not a fan of cards that straight up lock down an entire
That's- yeah.
an entire mechanic of the game. So I don't even care that much for Royal Decree, although I don't think it necessarily needs to be banned. I'm just the fact is that oppression straight up shuts down the game state for the rest of the game. It's not so much a thing that can slow down, although it can. The way that I've seen it used has always just been you establish your field and then shut down your opponents by flipping the oppression. And I don't really want to see that in the game. And honestly, I don't think, and this is that's me personally, and I also don't expect that what with Konami's practices, they probably wouldn't want that back in the game either.
Yeah, there's so many special summon heavy things coming, and I'm not sure that, like, Konami would want to rain on the parade of what it's going to be trying to sell.
It's not about. I guess I'm taking it from the evolution point, not the business point. That the game is in a very important evolutionary phase, where we're coming out of the speed and into how to deal with the speed.
I mean, like, I feel like right now has been an interesting point because we've been thrown in this format of like not so like very little just defined things. We're starting to learn more about like card interactions, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like we're learning more about like why exactly certain stuff is good, and not just like because in previous formats I feel like people you can say a card is good just because like it's got some instant application, but now like because you're being forced to use like some cards have a totally different use in one matchup than in another, but the fact that it has multiple uses is what makes it a good card. And that's why I mean that's kind of the case with Lance and things like so many other things. It's kind of like we're learning more about that. So in that way, I kind of encourage changes that like bring that sort of stuff back. I sort of agree with Justin though. Like I feel like oppression right now might just kind of shit on all that. Like we've been sitting here like learning how these cards interact, and then we get this big like power card that just kind of sits there and takes everything we know and kind of throws out the window because oppression just does control games. I mean, I don't really want to see it back. Like I thought I did, but then I was like, I kind of don't. I don't know.
It's a nice memento of the past of the game, but we have the 3 MST, and that's the only reason. I would ever consider like it being put back to 1, just because we have that one check, and having one check doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, one check doesn't make it okay, and then anti-meta still has all of the traps.
Mhm.
And I mean, especially, and then if we lost heavy, it could get really dirty, like really fast. So I mean, it's almost like anti-meta would be the meta, and I don't know how good that really sounds.
There's too many, like, I'm tired. Like, there's too many traps in the game. We have ones that lock down the field through goes in, and the other thing, we have ones that lock down the graveyard with macro. We have D-Fisher. We have Royal Decree, Royal Command. There's too many there's too many things being locked down, and if we were to lose heavy, I mean, yes, we would go to
Heavy is
3.
currently a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Right. So now, are there any other major ban list cards that maybe we're missing? Like, I'm sure that there's like something obvious that people have been talking about, like things like Magician of Faith back and things like that. I
Blackluster
mean,
Soldier.
Blackluster Soldier. Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on that? It hasn't even like shown any face at all this format.
The decks are too consistent for it. I kind of want to say that.
The only reason I would get rid of Blackluster Soldier is just to usher in more Chaos Sorcerers, so we'd have more Exceed plays. Like, that's like the only reason I would have for it. I really don't care if Blackluster Soldier is banned or not.
It's unchecked. I mean, after Tachyon, we get the light thing, and that might do something. I'm not sure, but I mean, just the fact that it might.
I don't know. It feels like a problem Konami could deal with more then than really now. Like, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it sitting here. I really don't think it's bad. I mean, Harpies and Phantom Beastcraft and the Fire stuff, none of that's going to be using it. And so, therefore, I don't really see BLS being a big deal at Nats either.
Then buy the Judgment pack. I don't even know if Torgai will still be around.
Yeah, that's also worth noting.
That's
Is
like
like,
the splashable dark engine that people need to run BLS, unless you're running Chaos Dragons.
right. So I don't really think BLS necessarily needs to get any kind of like hit. I mean,
I don't know. Right now, I kind of feel that BLS is almost having a similar impact, similar, not the same, similar impact in a way that Monster Reborn has, where it kind of is there, and really, it mostly just steals games away that the person otherwise wouldn't have won or wouldn't have been able or shouldn't have won. Maybe. I'd like to just see it gone so other options can come back. Like Mason said, like the multiple Chaos Sorcerers for the Exceed plays would be, I think, a lot more interesting than instant loss games because of
Like, when I'm
BLS.
playing Agents, I would rather have a Chaos Sorcerer than BLS sometimes. Just for the Synchro and Exceed capabilities of Chaos Sorcerer.
right. So do you guys think that maybe like Chaos Sort to 2 would be interesting? Like, would be possible if BLS left, or do you think they would just ban BLS and
you could have
leave it?
BLS and 3 Chaos Sorcerers, you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
Chaos Sorcerer in itself is practically free to summon. You've given nothing up that's already like part of the field, and then you can remove a monster, and then exceed, then probably exceed again into the Dragon Charger dude.
And your banish zone is just a toolbox, anyways. Now.
Yeah,
Right. So
I mean-
maybe we don't need to get 2.
it coming back is interesting, but what does it accomplish? And what it accomplishes doesn't set you back at all.
So, are there any other ban list cards that maybe we should talk about really quickly, or have we more or less wrapped this up?
Lance?
That's an interesting one. I don't think it'd get hit. I don't think that chains are happening quite enough to where they're like to where it should get hit. I mean, Mason, Justin, that's an interesting one.
I don't think Lance should deserve to get hit.
Not right now, anyway.
And maybe, and you know, like you said though, Tim, we're just kind of learning about it. So maybe
If it becomes like a Book of Moon thing where everybody runs 3, Konami might do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, on that note, Duality back up?
oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I'll
please.
get a 3.
Yeah, I don't think that it should. I mean, like 2 is such a pointless number for that card.
This is just
There's 2 cards on the list that I think need to come back up to 3 because they're pointless on the list, and that's Spore and Duality.
I think Sinister Serpent.
Serpent, you think could come back?
Eh,
That's
know.
an interesting one.
I feel like Sinister Serpent just says too much about Konami. Like if they were going to make a statement, it's like it just says, "Discard effects are not a cost."
I don't know. Like
It's a
that's
statement.
interesting. A Sinister Serpent back just.
Like, this is a personal one, but what does everybody think about the Agent of Mystery Earth?
I think it.
I don't want it back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like I get like why like it could come back and be all right.
What do you
just-
think it would do?
Like what? See, I feel like it would kind of propel agents to a too consistent point. And I mean, do you like as a throwback? That's nice, but then the game's not quite moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
want it. I'm not saying it's unwarranted, but I just don't.
it's the same evolution idea that agents had the summonable monster, and then the water guys have the discard for the cost monster, where it's not useful by itself, and that it's really really powerful. But
I mean, I just don't like want to see the game just like going back to a previous deck. It's why like I mean, I wouldn't mind like plant synchro and stuff like that coming back too. But it's just like if it's like it just kind of rewinds the game, and it's why I'm glad that the Teledad stuff didn't come back and it fell off really quickly just because like people want nostalgia, but I don't think Earth should be at 2. I don't know. I mean, like, what do you think it'd do, Mason? I don't know.
It would bring. I think it would speed the deck up, and like I don't know if it should come to 3 or not because if look at the last ban list, it came to 2, and look what happened to the YCS.
yeah,
They almost won a couple times.
That's why I mean it might just be safer to just kind of keep it at 2 because the light pack's coming soon anyways, and we don't even know what all that's got. So I mean,
I don't know. We can all speculate, but we'll never know.
so I guess that concludes part 3 of our podcast. You know what comes next. Watch next week and find out.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
Well, Mirror Force and Torrential at 2.
We were talking last night and we said Mirror Force could go to 3. I don't think it would even mean anything.
I think Torrential should stay where it's at, though.
Yeah, I think Torrential should stay at 2. Force could go to 3. I don't think it will go to 3, but I think it could, and nothing would really change.
Now, if Heavy got banned, that's a whole nother can of worms. But
Yeah. Now, if Heavy gets banned, then I don't know.
Yeah, it's a question that needs to be asked to impact the rest of the game.
So I think if Heavy gets banned, then they usually both stay at 2, or maybe both go back to 1, or one of them go back to 1. Maybe like Torrent go back to 1 if.
Because Torrent's a better, like in my opinion, Torrent is a lot better card than Mirror Force is.
Yeah.
In a competitive setting, like if you're playing against an unskilled player, Mirror Force is kind of ridiculous. But
Torrent as a card is better, and I think like if Heavy got banned, Torrent should go to 1. Force could stay at 2, but I mean like the Heavy getting banned would change that. That's a great point to bring up.
Well, Premature Burial.
No.
I don't like
We
primitive.
have Born.
We have to, I mean, like we have Lauren. If we lost it, I mean, maybe, but we have it, and I just don't think DeLorean's gonna get banned.
Metamorphosis.
Maybe. I've been wanting to advocate Metamorphosis for a little while, but I just don't know about it. I just don't know.
I was all
Natural
for
scientist?
No, I don't think so yet. I was thinking like Magician of Faith if we lost, depending on if we like lost, maybe like Reborn.
Yeah.
Like if Reborn got
advocate that because it's a slow enough card to where it might make a difference, but then again, it probably won't.
I mean, comboing it with MST is pretty dirty, and that kind of can define a format in its own.
I mean, but it's slow enough to where like it's not gonna be like really nasty. Like you can get an MST a turn, like to like two, like make 2 MSTs out of 1. But I mean, like Magician of Faith is like it's your normal summon gone.
Prophecies a little bit. They can search Magician of Faith.
Yeah, they can, and that might be like their enabler there. But I mean, like in anything else, you're losing your normal summon to a weak passive play. You lose the Magician of Faith, you lose your normal summon, you lose basically what could have been monster presence. And some decks don't even care that much about MST. Mermails don't give a shit. Agents don't give a shit.
I mean, now they do, but we're talking about next format. We can't really next format.
Right, yeah, you're right.
I think some of the decks now, unless we hit them, it'd be like next format, they'll be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Like if windups get hit, it's like agents and like a couple other decks are gonna be powerhouses.
What about Ring of Destruction?
That card, I don't
know. I think it should stay.
It ends games, but at the same time, it is also very defensive.
But big shit's gonna be coming out soon.
Yeah.
And like that means that like games will just
progress to a game where it was all small monsters and the boss monster ratio wasn't so high. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, just remember
You
though,
can go boss, monster, punch, and then ring instruction for game.
and it's just like dirty because like I mean, I don't know. I don't like it would end a lot of games, and people would be mad about it ending those games.
Mhm.
Like people would be really mad about losing the Ring of Destruction. Like that would bother me a bit. Like just just like I simply lose to a Ring of Destruction. It's like
It's like the
wow.
traps that are on the ban list are so hard to talk about other than the spell cards.
So I guess that concludes kind of our part 3. Tune in next week, and you get to hear us talk about Cosmo Blazer, Lord of the Tachyon, when we'll get Hidden Arsenal 7, and a bit of the summer metagame. So thumbs up, and be ready to watch next Friday.